everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Top Lessons podcast. I'm so excited to be here with you, but I'm also so scared. It's something I've never done before, let alone talking to a mic. But I'm going to do this because I know there's a lot of you rooting for me and it's all that I'm passionate about. So here we go. I know a lot of you are like, okay, great. I could read a book or I could actually, go find someone that I know is inspiring. But the answer is, I want to give it to you in a quick and succinct manner, 15 minutes, punchy, delivering the message in the best form that you could possibly find so you could listen to it or watch it on your way to work. I want it to be something that you can literally have on a treadmill if you're running, for that 15-minute workout that you're going to squeeze in, or you're actually on your way to a kid's soccer practice. I want you to be able to say, you know what, she put so much content in 15 minutes that I'm so thankful that I don't actually need to, read that 300-page book. Now, I love reading and I'm an avid reader, but I also know that reading and listening takes time. And if you want to have that inspiration, find that book or that person afterwards and, get their download. I'm sure many people nowadays, especially the people that will be guests here, will have books, will have their own motivational, clips via their own websites. I will give you that content following the podcast where you will be able to integrate whatever it is that I bring to you and follow up with them later. Every guest that I will bring on will be on my LinkedIn network. So if you are in my network where you want to share, you want to link in with me, please do so. And it will be something that later on, this is where our feedback can be. Where or who do you think is worth approaching next? Or do you have someone in your network that you think would be a great guest for me? I would love recommendations from anyone that has someone inspirational in their life. And I also love stories that actually have inspiration from something that is a challenge in our life. And to normal people, it would be a challenge that was too severe to overcome, but yet the miracle or that great ending happened. So please don't feel shy about contacting me on LinkedIn or on Instagram or on YouTube comments. However it is that you're going to find me, just ping me and I'm happy to start a chat. But I also know I have plenty of guests that are excited to be here and join me and that they're looking forward to talking with you and sharing what it is that they're going to bring to the table as their lesson. So the Executive Summary podcast is going to kick off in episode 2 with a guest. I'm not going to share that guest yet, but I want to make sure you tune in to find out who that guest is and share this next episode and the episodes thereafter with you. But the first 2 months will be an episode every 2 weeks. So I'm going to roll this out a little bit slower. And then month 3 will be an episode each week. So I look forward to the guests. Most of them are excited to be here with me. Some of them will be actually in their offices. We'll be taping it at their location. And some of it will be in this room as I'm sharing with you today. The next part is, what content am I bringing you? Well, the people will have all walks of life experience. There'll be authors, there'll be startup founders, there'll be AI experts, there'll be entrepreneurs who actually have launched products and been successful. Some of you may be saying, well, do I want to listen to that? And the answer is, just give it a try and listen, because at the end of the day, I guarantee you their lesson or their failure will teach you something about your industry. And some of them will be industries we all have in common, whether it's a product that is on a shelf or whether it's actually a leadership comment that, they wish they would have learned earlier, but now they're sharing it with you so you learn it earlier. I'm hoping to bring you my authentic self. I have 20 years of experience on Wall Street. So if you have comments or concerns or feedback, please ask me those in the notes that follow. But at the end of the day, will be something that we will be able to share with each other about my background. I'm not going to share every story of Wall Street because I promise you some of them are in the vault and they'll never come out of the vault. But there will be plenty of experiences and examples that you're going to say, holy shit, I never knew that could happen. Or, wow, that's inspiring. And I love the fact that she said this or brought this person to the table and I'm going to follow or I'm going to do better. It's going to be authentic and motivating and something that hopefully one day you'll come back and say, because of this person, I did X, Y, and Z. The next thing is, I'm going to give you a little background about myself. So I worked on Wall Street for over 20 years. I started my career at Goldman Sachs, spent 13 years there in various roles. I started in ops, went to business, and then went to compliance. During that time, I finished law school at night. And if I could tell you law school and Goldman was a lot, it was a lot. But I persevered and I finished. And one of the methods out of all that came what I always call the H.E.R approach. I'm going to go back to that in 1 second. But after Goldman, I went to UBS. I was the global head of compliance for electronic trading at UBS. And after 3 years at UBS, I went to Citigroup for 4 years. And I recently left Citigroup in March. And again, I was the global head of electronic trading compliance there. So I've run successful teams that I love. And I wish all the best to everyone that I've worked with. And I'm still friends with most of them. But at the same time, I'm also so excited to be doing this, so passionate to bring this to you. And the ability to say, you know what? She had this great career, but she was also able to pivot and do something that she has actual passion for day to day. Now, mind you, I had passion for my career. I loved my career. And I said it wasn't a job, it was a career. And that's a very big difference. And I'll go into that in one episode in the future. But I loved my career. But I wasn't saving lives. I was protecting banks out of trouble. I was making sure that rules, regs were, being compliant with. So every day I came to work, the 7 to 7 grind. I loved it because it was never the same. However, I wasn't saving a life. I wasn't getting the, oh my God, Kathy, you inspired me to do this. So I'm now being able to share that with you from a different angle. I'm able to bring those Wall Street, executives or, startup executives to you and be able to say, holy shit, they've inspired me to do this. I created this acronym, and the acronym is H.E.R. It's called the H.E.R approach. Now, don't be mad at me, the fact that I called it H.E.R, because it is a feminine word, but you'll get the gist of it after I finish telling you what it is. So the H is hard work. No matter what industry you're in, hard work will always win out. I think Kobe Bryant said it best is he'll take hard work over talent any day. So when I tell you hard work pays, it's because you know you did it. You accomplished it. You're the one who put in the effort, not someone else. You didn't buy it off the shelf. You didn't have the experience through, osmosis. It's you actually did the work. Hard work is something that I think is, to some people, a little harder than others. But if you look at every successful person, I guarantee you, they'll be able to tell you that they're the one that did the work, not someone else. And I love this interview question that Elon Musk shared, and I'm going to read it to you. I don't want to get it wrong. He says, tell me about yourself or the most difficult problems you worked on and how you solved them. I loved that question, and I used a version of that question on many interviews myself. He loves this question because he knows it roots out dishonesty. He knows it roots out the person that delegated the project or that thing versus the people that did it. And if you did it, you will talk about the project in so much detail that you won't be able to fluff your way around it. I love that question because it gives you that real impact of, were you the problem solver and innovator in whatever it is that your industry is about? So if you're going to steal a question from Elon, I would say steal this question. So that's the hard work. The next one is energy. Oh my God. Have you ever been in a room where or the classroom in college where the professor was monotone and sleeping and you just want to pass out? Or you're at work and you're like, God, when is this meeting over? Because it literally is just on and on and on. And the answer is energy gives you all the passion you need. The reason why I'm so excited about doing this is, holy shit, I want to, reach from the mountaintop and scream and say, holy crap, I'm doing this. I'm able to share my experience with you and bring you the best content I could possibly find to share with you. But I also know I'm not going to do it oh my God, here we go. I'm going to bring it with all the energy I have in me, whether it's from a soda pop or whether it's from, doing jumping jacks before I showed up here. I can tell you, and this is where, if you listen to Tony Robbins or anyone like him, they will tell you that why great speakers are great is because they have all this adrenaline when they go out there. And you want to have adrenaline, but you also want to control your adrenaline. You want to be able to kind of simmer it down when you need to. And some of the reasons you'll be able to control it is because you do jumping jacks to get that energy out of you. Because adrenaline is great. You just need to make sure you have it measured and controlled. Energy is the second point. The last point is results. No matter what industry you are never going to be accomplished if you don't finish what you're doing. We all love results, and the results is what gets us paid, gets us promoted, gets us the accomplishments and the accountability. But the H.E.R also comes with ideas and dreamers. I love those people who dream up, amazing, amazing ideas. But you can't just stop at that dreaming stage. If you think about the success stories of just simple Disney, he dreamt up Mickey Mouse and he put Mickey Mouse on paper. That is what you call the result. The result was the Disney characters, how they come to life in all the cartoons that came thereafter. So you could be the dreamer of everything you could possibly think of, but if without that result of pen to paper, you actually are stopping yourself to go all the way. And without that result, you're going to say, I wish I should have done this. And the wishes are great, but just make sure that you actually have that extra power in you to say, I am getting it done. I swear to you, if I could tell you a story 10 years ago, I literally had this podcast in my mind 10 years ago. I sat there and I was like, I wish I did this. I wish I had the courage to sit here and tell you, I'm going to create a podcast one day. And finally, 10 years later, the wish is here. I didn't just wish it. I actually am now creating the result. And yes, it's just the first episode, but holy shit, am I so glad that it's actually now in full power mode. So don't wish things. Yes, all the motivational aspects of wishes are there. You know, if you listen to all the manifestation lessons out there, you want to say them out loud, you want to write them down, but you also want to do them. You can't just sit on your couch and wish for things. You have to be able to get out there and do what you want. So if I have any inspirational words, the H.E.R method and the H.E.R approach is actually something that I will always stand by. You have to have that result in order to say, I did it. And I love the Nike approach to just do it. That was my motto through law school. When someone tells you you can't work at Goldman Sachs and go to law school at night for 4 years, guess what? I did it. And you know how I did it? I just did it. Literally. Every time I wanted to tear up and say, I can't do this, I said, you know what? You just do it. No one ever won something that they were so accomplished for in life without saying, I had a million reasons to back out, but I just did it. And you want to keep going because at the end of the day, you don't want to have the regrets that in 20 years, you're going to say, I wish I should have. Those results will be the ones that you will remember when you close your eyes and you go, holy shit, I'm so proud of what I did. In the end, you just do it. And the H.E.R approach is what I'm hoping will motivate you to do it. Lastly, if you love that H.E.R approach and you will use it one day, please just make sure you quote me somewhere in there. I'm not going to be offended if you use it, and I'm not going to be offended if you do something else with it. But who am I? You may be asking, great, she has 20 years of Wall Street experience, so what? The answer is, I have 20 years of experience because I did something a long time ago where I said I wanted to go to law school, I wanted to be on Wall Street, and I wanted to marry the two somehow. I never knew what my path was going to end up and that it was going to be in compliance because trust me, back then there was no degree in college called compliance, and in most cases it's still not there. But it taught me and showed me that every no turned into a yes, that every bad situation had a good ending. And the reason why I'm successful is because I had every single thing that I called bad, whether you didn't get the first job or the second job or the offer in between, or your boss gave you bad feedback. Every bad situation turned into a good result. And if you listen to any motivating speeches out there, every successful person turns a bad situation to a good result. Meaning that if you don't get that job, they go, okay, great. It's a bad result, but so what? The good part is I got that second job that got me a better offer or a better boss. So turn every bad to every good out there because sometimes, as they say, you never connect the dots until many years later. And those dots are so much better than you thought they were going to be. So a little bit about myself that I've already shared with you. I'm hoping that every guest that I have on here will be able to share a little bit of their background and give you a little bit of their story of how they became successful and what it is that we're all trying to accomplish here. And it's a very simple lesson. It's the top lessons that they have actually learned in their life, and they're going to share with you straight from their lips to your ears. And the ability to say, they did it. No matter how many issues or concerns they've worked through, challenges, they were able to succeed and show you the success story. Going back to something really funny, if you all know the cheesy cartoon, and I have plenty of cheesy comments, is the cheesy cartoon is Finding Nemo. And one of the things in that cartoon is Dory, who I'm sure you all love. And if you haven't seen the movie, just pop it in one day. I promise you, you will actually be happy that you watched it. Dory is this funny fish that has short-term memory problems. And Dory has a simple message that she says over and over again. And the message is, just keep swimming. And that message also is, if you've watched any of the recent movies in the movie This Is Us, The book is actually worth reading. So if you have some spare time, get the book. But just keep swimming is a great metaphor through going through life. I know we all have challenges, hard times, things that literally you never planned for happen to you, whether it's a bad result at work or a bad result with health or, a problem in the family. The answer is just keep swimming. You don't know how close you are to success. And it may be closer than you think you are, and you just can't see the clarity through the mountains. But I promise you, just keep swimming because it's worth it. It's worth that success story at the end. And it's worth later sharing your lesson to say, if I did it, so can you. As I promised, this is the executive summary podcast. So it's going to be within the 15-minute timeline. And the answer will be, we have to be within that 15-minute plus or minus bloopers or funny things that, I want to say afterwards. But we're all going to share each other's stories and guests that I promise you will be inspiring. They will be worth listening to and they will be worth following up with later, because whether you're that startup, whether you're that venture capitalist, or whether you're that author, or simply person that has great leadership skills because you had 40 years of experience doing something else, you're gonna love turning into 15 minutes into this podcast and learning something new all the time. So until the next podcast, I want to say thank you for joining. And also, like Dory, just keep swimming. Thanks. Okay, so the funny blooper is when you actually start your intro and you forget to actually say your name. So for those of you that will see this little tidbit later, you can laugh really well. And the best part is I actually have practiced this so many times that my own name was skipped. For those of you that do not know who I am, and there's going to be a lot of you, I am Kathy Inglot, and the podcast is the Top Lessons Podcast. So I hope going forward, I will repeat my name, and it will also be very easy to find me because the content on the bottom of every podcast will be there for you to have contact information with me. Don't forget to subscribe and to listen to the podcast on your way to work, on your way to the gym, on the treadmill, wherever it is that you are. 15 minutes will hopefully bring you some inspirational and motivating content with my guest or myself. And I hope that most of it will be with someone much more inspiring. But I wanted to do this intro first and foremost because, like every podcast, most of them just jump into something. And you go, well, what is it? What are you going to bring? What are you about? And the podcast here will be the executive summary of 15 minutes with few minutes for bloopers or things like I just messed up, forgot to say my own name, or content that, we want to just ask a question after the fact that we might have forgotten to mention during the 15 minutes. And the reason why, and Ryan Serhant did a really great synopsis of a successful person's workday. And if you listen to his podcast, or actually on his Instagram, he breaks out the minutes of the day, and that most successful people will have very good meetings within 15-minute intervals of each other. This is exactly why I agree to 15 minutes from all the other podcasts that exist, is that most successful people are willing to give you 15 minutes of their day to share their story and their lesson. Trust me, some of these people will be people that hopefully you go, oh my God, wow, this person actually is attending a podcast. Or you will say, holy shit, I read their book, or I know them from, some other movie or celebrity status that they have. And hopefully you will be motivated by what their content is and what their lesson is. But first and foremost, I want to bring you things that are actually punchy and to the point. They're not going to be fluff. They're not going to be filled with, things that person did 20 years ago, because I think someone's 20 years ago history is a little different to their actual day-to-day present. So look forward to hearing from you. Look forward to the content. Look forward to hearing your feedback. And again, this is Kathy Inglot with the Top Lessons Podcast. See you soon.